Good evening, everyone. I'm George the Antique Nomad. Today is a solemn day in the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth because Queen Elizabeth II died at the age of 96 after 70 years on the throne. For most of us, she is the only monarch we have ever associated with England. When she went to the coronation in 1953, it was a tremendous event and a rallying point for the English who had been through the devastation of the Second World War and were facing unparalleled economic distress as a result. And so they were really looking for someone to lead them forward, which she managed to do for 7 decades. I understand that Prince Charles, who will become king tomorrow, intends to turn Balmoral Castle in Scotland, which was her favorite place, to become a memorial to her. And with that in mind, a client of mine who has a wonderful collection related to the Balmoral Castle has asked me to put it on the market again. It is a beautiful set, and it is based on the 10 statues, each of which are 6 feet tall in reality, that line the entry to Balmoral Castle. So Queen Elizabeth would walk through these when she would go into the castle. These are the miniaturization of these done by the very famous Minton porcelain factory, and these are called the Queen's Beasts. The Queen's Beasts are a selection of 10 anthropomorphic statues, and each of these represents a different line of the Queen's heraldry. This set actually led me to become an antique appraiser because a friend of mine's grandmother left it to her. And when I went to visit, she said, we should go to the Antiques Roadshow and find out what some of my grandmother's things were worth. And I was the one who picked this out, and it ended up on Antiques Roadshow. You can see this set on an episode of Antiques Roadshow. I believe that was 2001 from Salt Lake City. And at the time, they appraised it at $4,500. The reason being that England at that time, having financial difficulty, even the wealthy were being careful with their money. The 3 pieces that were purchased at the time by the people who could afford them were the Lion of England, because it represented England, the Unicorn of Scotland, because it represented her Scottish heritage, and the Red Dragon of Wales. The other 7 pieces in the set refer to her heraldry from Europe, meaning her German ancestry, for example. And because people in England did not have a lot of money, very few of these full sets were sold. That's why when Antiques Roadshow saw it, they valued it in the $4,500 to $5,000 range. About 10 years ago, they did an update of the valuations, and the valuations had actually not changed because these sets are so difficult to find. This set comes with a book explaining the Queen's Beasts, and it shows her lineage all the way down, and which beast represents which part of her very distinguished and long line, all the way back to Edward III. This was important in part because, of course, Queen Elizabeth originally was not the heir apparent. Her father ascended the throne after her uncle, Edward VII, abdicated to marry Wallis Simpson. And because of that, there was some controversy within England as to whether the Windsors should remain in power. And so it was very important that the Queen establish herself as the rightful heir to the throne, and part of that was to reinforce her heritage. The book has great libretto that talks about each of these beasts and in great detail shows what the heritage was and talks about her lineage. Now, these originally stood at the entrance to Westminster Abbey. So the Queen walked through these when the coronation happened. My understanding is they were moved to Balmoral at her request. The Unicorn of Scotland bears the crest of the former Scottish kings, and they are marked on the bottom. This is the White Horse of Hanover. White Horse of Hanover relates to the Hanovers of Germany who came and were involved in the Georgian Regency era of rule in England. Each of them has a shield related to the various houses from which Her Majesty came. This one is the Yale of Beaufort. The Yale of Beaufort reminds us of Lady Margaret Beaufort, who was the mother of Henry VII. And there it is. These are all hand-painted, including the gold paint. They are very well decorated. Minton is considered probably the premier porcelain maker in England. And that was the reason they were commissioned to do this set. Again, this is the Red Dragon of Wales. It was taken by Henry VII and used by all of the other sovereigns of the House of Tudor. And this actually is the best known and the oldest of all fabulous beasts. The dragon, of course, representing a unique power in animal mythology and particularly in English myth. This one is the White Greyhound of Richmond. This is the Falcon of the Plantagenets. So for those of you who are European history buffs, you're going to recognize a lot of these names in her heraldry. This one is the Black Bull of Clarence. The Black Bull of Clarence holds the shield representing the royal arms of England from the 1400s to the early 1600s. And you notice all of these are attributed to after, it says after the model by James Woodford OBE, RA. So he was in the Royal Academy of the Arts. He got an Order of the British Empire, creating the original models from which the sculptures and these miniatures were taken. We have this piece here, which is the White Lion of Mortimer. The White Lion of Mortimer is the only one that did not wear a crown. His great-great-grandson, Edward IV, was represented by the falcon. Some of these are rather obscure if you're not an English historian or a royalty buff. But that is who these were made to please and for their edification, and also to have this connection to the Queen and the wonderful things that she possessed in her castle. And this one is the Griffin of Edward III, which is the earliest of her royal ancestors connected to England. The shield it bears has the present royal livery colors and the badge of the Royal House of Windsor currently. So they're quite lovely. They're quite beautiful. And as I said, 7 of the 10 of these are very seldom seen because very few people bought the entire set. Now, this was obtained from a Florida estate, so it does have some foxing. The box is in adequate condition. It has one loose ribbon, as you see on the side there, but the point of the box is that it is the presentation piece these came in. They are meant to seat in there so that they cannot fall and that they will be protected, because these were not inexpensive new and they are not inexpensive now. You rarely even see a single one of the Queen's beasts come to market these days. It's been quite a while since I've seen those, and I have never actually encountered another one of these sets. It is in the Minton presentation box. Minton, of course, was, as it says here, by appointment to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. They are the China manufacturers for the royalty. We are going to put this set online. I will put it on eBay so that it is the most available to the most people. It will be offered at the low end of the Antiques Roadshow estimate, and offers will be considered. With the passing of time and the passing of generations comes new interest. The royal family has certainly had their ups and downs the past 20 years, and this is going to be a big sea change in terms of the direction of the royal family. So royalty is changing in England, and this set is a wonderful example of the beautiful work that was done to commemorate the royal family in 1953. We will no doubt see new lines coming out commemorating the passing of time, the passing of the Queen, and the ascension of Charles to the throne. So for more photos and details, please go to the Antique Nomad on eBay and you will be able to see this set there and ask any additional questions you might have there as well. Thank you so much, and to our friends in the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth, we understand that these are times of great change. We hope they are times of great promise.